What's up, buddy buddies, and welcome to Real Fun Times with Snowy, that's me.
And the doctor, that's me.
Well, what a movie we have for you today.
Snowy.
I didn't know what to expect going into it.
At all. And whatever I thought I expected
Didn't
was
happen.
not what happened.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that.
We will shortly. Well, should we start with a real fun fact or two?
I would love a real fun
Oh my
fact.
God, I would love to give it to you.
What did you dig up?
Well,
A mummy.
I got some mummy facts for you.
Ooh. I don't know a lot about mummies outside of Brendan Fraser's mummy franchise.
I saw a meme today, and it was like, my sexual orientation is the Mummy movie, and it had all. And I was like, yeah, get it, heard. Like
even the brother.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go there.
Okay, all right.
He got way sexier, and he was in Spartacus.
Get some facial hair.
No, just the attitude.
Okay,
brought it together.
The attitude can do it every time. So our first fact, this happened in Scotland, actually. There was a male and female 3,000-year-old mummified bodies, and they were actually made from the remains of 6 different people. So it was like Frankenstein mummies.
Whoa! Oh, tiny boy.
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I loved it.
We'll cut it out.
No, we're not. Second mummy fun fact. Did you know that I guess Tutankhamun, when he was found, they mummified his body with an erection?
No, he didn't. He had that same syndrome that Cat's guy did. It's like, everyone will say it.
Him and Tutankhamun and Jason Derulo.
And
I've said it once.
Tuggers.
I've said it 1,000 times.
Tum Tuggers.
And lastly, Lord Carnarvon. That's what we're going to go with. Who provided the finances for the excavation of Tutankhamen's pyramid, died of blood poisoning only a few months after the tomb was.
It was the mummy's revenge.
The tomb.
You did, but I went right over it because mummy's revenge.
Well, so even his pet dog, who was at home in England, dropped dead at the same moment.
That's freaky.
And that kind of added fuel to the whole like assumptions of the curse of the pharaohs.
Sure.
So,
ooh, very fun fact, Snowy.
Thank you.
Don't mummify me after I go. Just do the whole incineration thing and toss me upon the waves at a fish show.
Oh, at a fish! I was like,
you don't even have to stay. You go, they're playing, and you're like, "Shh," and then you're out of there. You'll miss all the bad traffic from the concert.
Look at you thinking ahead, thinking of me at every turn.
Always.
What's been going on? What's happening?
Oh, what a great Labor Day weekend. Just fun, busy, lots of visiting with friends and family. And it was one of those extended weekends that feels even shorter. And like when Tuesday rolls around, you're like, what happened? So I don't feel rested per se, but I just had a great time.
Well, good. I'm very glad.
How about you? You had to work and stuff?
Yeah, I worked.
You're off yesterday.
I was. I've had a little too much to drink the past night or two.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, like because I had my cleanse. The cleanse was done on Saturday.
Sure. So you're even more susceptible to.
And
so it felt good.
Yeah, I was at the bar. I didn't mean to go. I meant to go for a casual drink yesterday afternoon at like 4:30, and I was there at like 10:30. I looked at my buddy, and I was like, I have to leave.
Sure.
Because it had been like me and our friend Ben, and then like my buddy Hot Rob came up, and so we were hanging out, and then I was like, I have to leave you now. Like I can't do this anymore. So
we just can't do it like the days of old, Snowy.
I know.
We have to pace ourselves, take naps.
I'm still pretty good, but yeah. Was it? It's 4th of July when we like started drinking tequila like in the morning, and then like by like 2 o'clock we were
hard.
Like, we gotta take naps.
I did that same thing Sunday after bottomless mimosas. Long, deep nap. Fred was like, guys.
I got waxed today.
Cool.
That was interesting.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, but I've got my lady's great. She was very fun, very chatty,
She's
which I
glad that
like.
you were back, I'm sure.
And speaking of, I finally learned all the words to WAP, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Huh.
Yeah,
Life goals.
it's been a labor of
A
love, but here we are.
productive, weekend for you as well.
Yeah, yeah. So my Monday is tomorrow, so let's do this.
Let's do it. I bet you dug up some fun previews.
You know that I did.
What'd you find?
All right. Our film tonight is Bubba Ho-Tep. And I wanted to read what
2002.
that is what I have in my notes. I wanted to read what IMDb said about it cuz I thought it was like a really funny
Oh, yeah.
description. Elvis Presley and a black JFK stay in a nursing home where nothing happens until a wayward Egyptian mummy comes and sucks out the people's old souls through their a-holes. The two decide to fight back.
That's it in a nutshell. You
That
got it.
I mean,
Nailed
nailed
it.
it. All right, IMDb gives this 7 out of 10.
Huh. That is shockingly high.
Metascore 57, user rating 7.5.
Golly.
Rotten Tomatoes 79%, audience score 79%.
No fucking way.
I was
I
like,
must have
that's
missed something.
across the board the highest I think of any of the movies that we've watched. Yeah.
Any of them.
I don't understand where
I missed the boat on this one, Snowy. I'll go
yeah.
ahead and tell you.
I thought it was going to be far more like
Sneaky
irreverent
peek, my
than what it
scores
was.
aren't like that.
No, neither are mine. No, no, no.
Interesting.
Right?
Well, I've been known to miss a thing here and there.
Hey. So this movie was written by Don Coscarelli. So
I like Coscar.
as I try to sound shit out. Don Coscarelli. So he directed it, and then it was based on a short by a guy named Joe R. Lansdale, and then the Coscarelli also wrote the screenplay.
A short makes much more sense for this.
I could see it being a very enjoyable short read. I think that would be fun.
Super fun.
So we had Bruce Campbell playing our lead. He was playing Elvis Presley.
Sure enough.
Elvis is dead, you thought. We'll get to that. Obviously, the Evil Dead franchise. I mean,
he's great.
Yeah.
It's hard not to like everything he fucking touches.
Now, he was also, I didn't realize he was in that movie Maniac Cop, which has our boy, the Chin, Robert Zadar, I believe.
Oh.
And I thought about that might be a good,
something.
a good pick for the pod. Sundown, The Vampire in Retreat, The Dead Next Door, Waxwork 2.
I've been seeing that floating around my little feed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Army of Darkness, Hudsucker Proxy, Congo, Escape from LA with our boy Court Russell, who we had on the pod last week.
Ah, yes. Our Cash.
Oz the Great and Powerful, Ash versus Evil Dead, which I loved that series. I thought that series was so much fun.
I was real bummed it didn't have more seasons.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like that was one that ended short, but it's kind of one of those things where you don't want them to fuck it up anyway. So it was a bittersweet.
Yeah, for sure. Xena and Hercules, I guess he had recurring roles, like playing the same character on both those shows.
Amazing.
Ossie Davis was Jack, or our JFK. He had several unedited or uncredited roles in the 1950s, and then I think his first kind of big thing was in the show Car 54. Where Are You?
Oh.
He's been in Freedom Road, Do the Right Thing, Joe versus the Volcano, Jungle Fever, Cop and a Half, Evening Shade, which makes him the third person to have been on Evening Shade in a row on the podcast.
What?
Because when we did,
what's Evening Shade?
So it was a
Maybe
show.
That needs to go.
It was it was a show with Burt Reynolds, not Bruce, kids. Burt Reynolds in like the early 90s, and he was, I think, like an NFL star or something that moves back to like his like sleepy hometown.
Right.
But Mary Lou Henner, who was in Perfect, she would play Bruce Reynolds' wife on the show. The guy last week in Tango and Cash, the guy that was the speech specialist, the little kind of squirrely guy
with the mustache.
He was on it, and Ossie Davis was on it.
Wow, what are the chances?
I know, right?
Wild.
Mrs. Evers' Boys, The Client, both the movie and there was a limited TV show that he played the same judge role. 12 Angry Men, and his last role was actually in The L Word. He played Bet's father. And what's really sad is
I remember
he died on the show, and then I think he died like right after, because that episode, like where he died, there was like an Ossie Davis thing. So it was,
gotcha.
Yeah.
What a legend. What a resume.
Yeah. Um, and he's always been like he was always just a big advocate for social justice and all
Awesome.
throughout his life. Yeah, it was pretty
Amazing.
awesome. We had Ella Joyce who played the nurse. That was
Loved the fucking nurse.
so she was in Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Oh boy,
Um
that gem. That could possibly go in
oh for
here.
sure. Give us all the Stallone flicks. She
Yes.
was the lead on there was a sitcom called Rock. Back in I think it was like the 90s, late 90s, 2000, something like that. She was the like the wife, so she was the female lead in that show. She's been in the movie Set It Off, Stranger Inside, My Wife and Kids. She's been on, and something called Never End Again. And the last person that I want to talk about is a guy named Harrison Young. He's the roomie at the very beginning of the movie that dies. Like he's Elvis's roomie.
Oh yes,
And I
the
was
one that
like,
just kind of chokes real
yeah,
hard.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, why does that old man look familiar to me? He played the grown-up old man version of Private Ryan and Saving Private Ryan.
Yes, of
And as soon as I saw him, I was
course.
like, click. Like,
Yeah. Good call.
thank
I
you.
did not make that connection. Wow.
So yeah, but that's what I've got right now. We had a budget of $500,000 for this movie,
Okay.
and it was shot in 30 days.
That's not a lot, right? Half a
No,
million? Okay.
no,
Because
it's
that explains a lot for
it
me.
does.
And it seemed that way during the watching. It was like, this is real low budget
And
stuff.
the special effects were actually like done pro bono by a company that was doing it as a favor for the director.
Yeah, and
So
I
that
would say that they did some interesting things considering what little they had to work with.
mhm. So, Bubba Ho-Tep.
Let's get
Uh
into it.
the movie starts and it gives you the definition of emotep.
May I?
Please, please, please.
I said we get some fun Ben Hur style name titles for Bubba Hotep. And then we get a little lesson. You know, I love my beginning
I know you
lessons.
do.
So we have Hotep, a relative or descendant of the Egyptian dynasties, or a family surname of an Egyptian pharaoh. And then we had Bubba, the male from the south, good old boy, cracker, redneck, and trailer park.
Resident.
Nice. I was like, what the fuck is that?
I loved that. We were both like
That
cracking
was
up when that
fun.
was yeah.
That was fun.
So movie starts. We're in a place called Mud Creek, Texas, in this shady ass nursing home.
Shady ass. That's great.
um, and somebody that looks like Elvis Presley is in a small little twin bed, and like it's kind of they're
It
fast
looks
forwarding
rough
through it.
wherever they
Yeah,
are.
it does not look
That
like
nursing home is not top of the line.
no at all. I mean, I feel like though, like I have such a problem with nursing homes because I feel
It's like 90% bad.
yeah, like the one that like my like
Unless you have a crap
Nani
load
was
of
in,
money,
yeah,
you're not gonna have a good time.
yeah. I feel like time and again I'm so unimpressed. I
Yeah.
don't know with what I hear about those places, but he's there. Like we find out he hasn't had a hard on in years. That's something that happens. He says it's been what two president
3 presidents
terms,
or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
before since he's had a solid Woody, and he's got a pus filled bump on the head of his dick apparently.
Oof. Yep. He goes into great
Yeah,
detail about
you
that.
were hilarious. Like you groaning and just being like,
I didn't like it. I
"Ugh."
didn't like it. He's gross.
Yeah. So, and one thing he says in his like kind of opening monologue, it's just his inner monologue that we're hearing.
Yeah, yeah.
But he says, "Is there anything to life but food, shit, and sex?"
Mm.
And I was
There were
like,
several good,
"Yeah."
well written little zingers.
So his roomie dies.
Yeah,
He
he has
coughs
a
to death.
coughing fit.
Yeah. And then his couple days later, I guess like his daughter comes in.
His
Shit,
shitty
shit.
ass daughter
Yeah,
with a
his
terrible attitude that throws
terrible
away his
outfit.
fucking purple heart.
And like
Like
pictures of him from the
pictures.
military and
It's just terrible. But they strike up a little conversation.
hmm and then we find out so the sassy nurse comes in for the first time and she keeps calling him Mr. Half.
That's right.
And he tells a story. We find out that Elvis was tired of living the Elvis life.
Yeah, he keeps insisting he's the real Elvis
Mhm.
because the whole shtick was he was done with his life.
He's like, and so he goes to meet this impersonator to see how good he is, see if they actually can swap. In fact, they did. Apparently, it was this guy he said loved drugs far more than he ever did. So he's the one that died. He kept on kind of living the Elvis impersonation life, carved out a nice little life for himself, and then one day ended up breaking his hip, falling off stage, and then has kind of been fucked ever since.
Yeah, and he shortly into doing the switch was having a barbecue at a trailer he lived in and burned in this giant fire all evidence of this deal
Hmm.
that was the only proof that he was the real
Right.
Elvis.
Uh, that was done in one take. That
Oh yeah?
explosion scene, yeah.
It was a great
Yeah, it was.
scene.
Yeah, it was.
It
It
looked
was a
like a
solid
fun
explosion. Yeah.
explosion. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we kind of meet him, and then we're going around the nursing home. We see this little old lady. She's walking down the hall and looks so sweet. And there's a lady in an iron lung, and she goes up and she's petting her head and being,
Yeah.
and then she steals the glasses off her face. And I was like, "This
This
old
bitch,
bitch."
dude. I put here people start dropping like flies.
Yeah.
Oh, like old flies. Cuz first we saw the buddy or the
Yeah.
roommate, and that's the first time we see the bumbling coordinators.
Yes.
When I put it was one of those, that's a guy. And he was kind of like an oafish, like just like oh, let's do the right thing kind
Yeah.
of kind
And the
of
other
deal.
guy's not fucking having it.
A douche bag,
Yeah.
just talking shit left and right, and they get progressively worse each time they come to pick up a dead person.
Yeah. It was a good little shtick.
It was.
Um, so this thieving old bitch. So she steals glasses from the iron lung lady and then takes a box of like treats outside someone's door.
Yeah, 10.
She is she's got a creepy ass room with dolls. Odd. How do you feel about dolls?
Hate them.
I hate
Hate,
dolls.
and the ones she had were terrible.
They were
came straight out
terrifying.
of that movie Dolls that we did way
Hmm.
back when.
What a
Now,
great
did
movie.
you name her at all?
I called her that thieving old bitch.
I put Sticky Fingers Sally.
We get the first glimpse of this gigantic, like Egyptian cockroach, and I say Egyptian cockroach because it kind of reminded
Beetle.
me. Thank you, beetle.
Right,
Thank
right.
you. Words. It's fine. It's no big deal. But
Well,
it reminds me of the
everyone's
ones
saying
in like the
cockroach.
Mummy. Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
mummy-esque. And I felt like it was pretty clear to us, the viewer, that it was supposed to be a beetle, but
Right.
everybody was calling it a
A
cockroach.
cockroach. Yeah. And so and she's a hateful old broad. So she's like, I'm gonna kill you. You son of a bitch. Like whatever.
She goes at it
Crawls.
with her cane,
Uh
right?
huh. And then it like bites her, like bloodies her. Then she's on the floor fighting it, and that's when we see kind of rise from the floor, or sort of
Some
the
shadows, some weird shit,
and
and
then
then she's dragged because at one point she's like,
well, you see the outline of like the which we'll talk about the way he's dressed.
"We will."
It was interesting. And then so Elvis wakes up. He kind of like is and then he sees her outside his door, and she's like holding onto the thing,
Clinging to the
and she's like,
frame.
"Help me!"
But he's been having kind of jacked up,
Like lucid dreams, anyway.
feverish type
Yeah.
images and speeding up of time, like things. He's not well,
Right, right,
so
right.
it's hard to know if what he's seeing is reliable. We know it is, but he can't.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He
He's
can't
just
distinguish.
like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Right. So yeah, so she's like, "Help me," and then she gets dragged away, and then next morning she's dead. The guys are back. The oafs are back to collect the body.
Yeah, I think they drop her.
No, that's the third one.
Okay.
Okay. So
They almost drop her.
we talked about this, and I feel like I think I said it to you during. This is one of the quietest live watches you and I like had ever had.
Yeah.
Which is I don't think is a good sign.
Right.
But the guy's standing there, and like the shitty one's like, "Are you gonna say something like deep or emotional again, or whatever he said? You gonna get all
You gonna be a
emotional on
pussy
me
or
Yeah.
something?
And he's like, "No." He's like, "How about you? She stinks. How about you spray her?" And then me and you were like, "Bitch, you're right there. Why can't you spray her?"
Yeah, just shitty fucking that dialogue and writing was bad, and
Yeah.
I was infuriated. I pointed that out to you. I hate when people can do a thing, but they're like, this thing needs doing, gives it to
Pish
me, and
posh.
it's like, go and
Yeah.
be doing.
You do it.
You have it.
Yeah.
It was your idea.
Yeah, it's in your
Fucking
hands. What do you mean?
Do it.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
closer. Like, don't.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it. I'll tell you right now.
Things keep kind of going in the nursing home, and we are introduced to Ossie Davis's character Jack. Now, he believes Ossie Davis is a black man.
He is.
He believes that he is JFK
That's right.
and that they dyed him that color
All
to
over.
all over to be
He made that very clear.
yeah, um because they had to keep the secret that he was dead, and he said that like he's got this scar in the back of his head and they replaced part of his brain with
With a
sand.
bag of sand.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um
And that Lyndon B. Johnson was out to get him, and the thing that happened in Texas, like some of this bit fell short for me. Some of it was really funny, like the
right.
thing when Elvis asked him about Marilyn Monroe. I
Oh
thought that
yeah.
was hilarious.
That was a cute moment.
But sometimes they leaned on it and it just
Didn't work.
fell flat.
Yeah. So like, we're introduced to him. That night happens, and we're so a beetle is in Elvis's room. He ends up fucking up the beetle. Like he goes toe to toe
That's
with it. There's
right.
a whole struggle,
Hmm.
and then he ends up finding his buddy Jack on the floor in his room. And I
Right.
think it's weird that everybody slept with their doors open, not even at a hospital. Like I mean,
Right.
like every
It's a
nursing home I've ever been
strange nursing
in.
home.
Yeah.
There's like freedoms but not freedoms. It's didn't make much sense. Now, do we meet the nurse and have the awkward hand job
That's
before
next.
this?
That's
Okay.
next. So let's just lean right into that.
Well, I kind of fucked that up.
So it's the nurse is always like, I'm gonna be back to do that thing we gotta do in a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's putting the ointment on his junk, and
That ointment, the sounds
it
of that
it's
ointment,
squishy.
it was
Like
so
it's
uncomfortable. And
macaroni
they
in a pot. Oh, sorry.
they went all the way, like they lingered.
So she's putting it on there, and he's like talking about like in his head that inner monologue's going again about like how 20 years ago
His life. He's just thinking
he could have
about
done
shit.
whatever with her. Like
And then he starts thinking about the fight with the beetle and then the roommate's daughter. And hello, nurse.
and then she says, Mr. Half. And then the
she
look
nailed her fucking part.
she did.
I loved it.
The look on his face, the pride.
Yeah.
And like I can't imagine what that's like for a dude. I was
I
talking
thought about that too.
like I was talking to a good buddy of mine who lives in Ohio the other night, and like one of my best guy friend from growing up. We were talking about like sex, in he's like about a year older than I am, but he was talking about sex in your 40s, and he's like, it can be interesting for a man now. He's like,
Sure.
and I was like, oh, buddy, really?
Yeah.
Like, is that where we're at?
We're just
Like,
revving up.
oh god, yeah, right.
We're just getting started.
Just got on my dirty 30s. Like, let's go. But it's something that I've never had to think about. Like,
Yeah.
as a chick, it's just
No, never. And it must be tough.
yeah,
I mean, we go through our own amount of tough, so it's not like I feel super bad.
certainly.
But it would be interesting. I wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
So I get it for
Yeah.
sure.
So she pretty much like he's got a Woody. He's super proud of it. She kind of loves it. She's kind of like, you dirty old.
She
no,
does.
you
She
know.
does. She kind of gives you the impression she wouldn't have minded had that not been.
In the particular situation.
Yeah. That, hey, it might have worked out.
So then it like this movie kind of the continuity of it isn't always great.
No, the
Um,
pacing's way off.
Yeah. Jack knows there's some BS going down. And he and Elvis are talking, and he wants to show Elvis some hieroglyphics on the bathroom wall.
That's right.
He's so funny because he's so serious about it. And he was like talking about because he was like, man, I found you on the floor the night before. Like, what happened? And he was like, oh, there was this, I think it's this mummy or like whatever whatever his explanation for it is. And he's like, had his mouth over my asshole.
That's right. That's when we learned that the mummies eat the souls through the butt.
Yeah, because it's a good open
Stinkier.
orifice or whatever. And then
More seasoned.
it sounds so gross when you say it that
It's
way.
real gross. It's supposed to be gross.
So then he talks about he's got this like book of the soul, and like he shows him, he's like, he's like, where did you read this shit? And Jack's like, "I'll show you where I read it."
Yeah, he
Like,
just totally they bro out. He gives
mhm.
them all his theories and ideas, and Elvis starts kind of like, "Huh, is there something to this?" Now, before this, I just want to touch briefly on Kimosabi,
Oh, yes,
who is
yes.
one of my favorites, the Lone Ranger. Um, he's just like all Lone Rangered up with his two little toy guns and twink, twink, twink. I found him to be adorable.
What's crazy is that actor actually played the Lone Ranger in something like 40 years before this role.
That's cool. What a nod. That's fucking cool. And then the nurse was outside
Mhm,
having
having a
her
smoke,
smoke
mhm.
break, and then she sent some weird shit in the
Garden
what's that place?
house
Yeah, what's
or
that place called? Shed.
yeah.
And it gets red in there, and like we see, I think that's the first glimpse of the boots I noticed. And I was like, why?
Why's this mummy got an outfit?
What's going on with this mummy?
I kind of feel like the mummy and McCavity could have possibly, like, gone shopping
For
together,
sure.
and
Very similar vibes.
okay, let's just go ahead and address the mummies the way it's
I put a Clint Eastwood wannabe.
I felt very, like, New Orleans, like, voodoo vibes from the
Okay,
ensemble,
sure, sure.
and I didn't understand why the
This mummy
mummy
has style that he's just all on his own.
yeah,
He's just
he's
doing
living
his
his best
mummy thing.
afterlife.
That's right. I love boots and general cowboy themes.
Yeah, don't hate.
Now, let me see your butthole.
Oh, man.
So then the Lone Ranger's chilling in his room with his little mask on, and he wakes up and his roommate's getting
Getting his soul
soul.
sucked out by
Mm,
via asshole.
that's right. And he keeps saying shit like asshole or
Yeah, he's like, "Asshole,
pew
pow,
pew
pow, pow."
pew. And so Hotep leaves the room and he's got this like slow, deliberate, robotic walk, just very you don't have I mean, you could run away.
Yeah,
And he walks down this long, ridiculous hallway and makes eye contact with Elvis.
and it's like there's this transference of, like, what
Elvis gets the
happens.
whole story.
Yeah.
And the story is he was a mummy or like an Egyptian person, got mummified, and then was en route to a museum,
And some thieves.
grabbed him, but then they wrecked their car and went over a bridge into the water, and
Mhm.
that lake or creek or whatever is right by the Shady Acres?
Shady ass.
Dreams?
Shady
Shady
Dreams. Oh my
ass.
god. It'd
Awesome.
be great if it was called Shady Dreams. Shady Dreams Retirement Home. You're gonna die here.
You didn't dream this big. But then unfortunately we do lose Lone Ranger.
His heart, like,
Thankfully not
explodes.
through butt suction.
Mhm.
That's a terrible way to go. He just had a regular old heart attack.
Yeah. But, of course, like, Jack and Elvis, they see it, and they have finally, like, they have, acknowledged, like, "I think you're the real Elvis. I think you're JFK."
Let's band together
Yeah.
and get this motherfucker because they figured this guy is eating up the souls of our buddies and shitting them out, and that means that they can't go
Yeah, they're
to
done. Their soul's done.
where
Digested.
whatever happens next.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be like this, and we don't want our friends to be like this. So we gotta do so. We gotta put a stop to the Hotep.
Let's talk okay, so the next scene after this, Elvis is kinda like he's really kind of losing his mind, like, he's getting angry, and he's got on this trench coat.
Comically too small trench coat
It
is
looks like
exactly what I wrote.
it looks like it was made for, like, a size small 5'2"
Child.
woman. Yeah, I mean, like
Like you know the trench coat jokes with like it's two kids, one on top of
oh,
the
yeah, yeah,
other,
yeah.
trying to get to a movie theater.
Yeah. Yes. 100%. Like, it doesn't even, like, go all the way around him, like, it's barely, like, belted.
Barely belted.
Yeah, and then he ends up, like, pretty much being an asshole to sassy nurse because she comes out
Yeah, he's had enough.
and she's just like taken aback. You loved her sweater game. You were super into her sweater
Loved her
game.
sweaters. On point.
Should I get you one of those little like chains that like hooks the sweater so
Chan
you can
chan chan.
ooh. Speaking of music, you will note that there was no Elvis music played in this movie.
Yeah, interesting.
Because it
Even
would have
on that one
taken
flashback.
more than half the budget to get the rights.
Sure.
Also when like he sees like the Elvis movie montage on TV, none of that was from real Elvis movies. It was all like from
Fake Elvis movies.
yeah,
Where
you
he's
know
not
you never
really in
saw
it.
the face.
Hmm.
That's right.
Well, I thought they were pretty clever with some of the stuff they pulled off here.
Yeah, they were able to do it.
Considering what they had going for them, like some interesting ideas in there and interestingly executed. So our heroes, they make the big plan to get rid of Hotep, right?
Mhm.
Once and for all.
And apparently Jack has done some research and
About the weapon that they made, right? There was some sort of water or fire.
well he did that, but like also like he looked up the wreck and everything that happened
That's right. Oh,
and
and he was like, he's got to get back into the thing that he came out of to like destroy
yeah,
it.
I kind of got lost in the sauce there.
loosey-goosey, and
Yeah.
they didn't follow their own formula.
They did not.
So that I don't love.
Yeah.
You
But
made the rules, motherfucker.
like so they get this little checklist of all these things to defeat the mummy. And I loved their little checklist. It was like 2
Yeah,
bottles
it
of
was
like
really cute.
isopropyl alcohol, like
Yeah, it was really cute.
matches
And then walking down the hallway as
with
the
Elvis in his like full like
and his
regalia.
walker.
And his walker, and then Ossie Davis G'd out, looking handsome in his
Super
little
handsome, decked
suit,
out in his suit.
and his electric wheelchair, just
Wee.
yep. And there's that triumphant sort of like pseudo westerny music playing.
Dun, dun.
It was great. And then they go out to like wait for him, and they're like, okay, he's gonna come out of the pond
That's right.
at any
It's
moment.
nighttime. He doesn't like a lot of this. Hotep's real lazy as far as mummies go. That's the whole reason he set up shop at the
This nursing
nursing
home.
home because these people are about to go. They're not putting up a fight,
Yeah,
and who's gonna catch them? I'll
nobody,
tell you who.
nobody.
Elvis and fucking JFK.
That's when the whole thing happens, and he's like, "Hey, how was Marilyn Monroe?"
That's
And
right.
he's like, "That is classified information." And then he goes, "But
What does he say? Like homino,
no,"
homino.
he's like, "But wow."
Oh yeah.
And then just turns his little wheelchair and yeah. So I love when they're waiting for him. Jack falls asleep. Ossie Davis falls asleep,
Yeah,
and
that's
is
right.
and like the mummy's coming towards him, and he's like, "Ah!" So they fight. Like he Elvis busts out some hilarious karate moves. Like he's being very
Yeah.
like very serious about it. They end up setting him on fire, but it doesn't really work. And then the mummy fights with Jack, and he ends up
I put we lose our beloved JFK.
again.
Oh, too soon.
So Elvis ends up in the electric chair because it has gone rogue after the mummy knocks him out.
Yeah, he
They
hops on that thing.
they're fighting. I thought this cracked me up when the mummy talks and then it like spits out like hieroglyphics into the screen.
Yes, that
And
was
then we
great.
get the
Now, did
um
you get what they said?
I got the second one.
What'd you get?
Eat the dog dick of Anubis, you asswipe.
Line of the movie.
100%. So they kind of roll down the hill. They're fighting.
Right by the river's edge.
And the mummy gets like a stick and starts like beating the hell out of Elvis's head with that big like stick.
He's not playing fair. Mummy's out.
He's able to
Out
kind of
to
like
get him.
Elvis is able to reach forward and
The
unscrew the
that
canister
had
of
the-
alcohol.
Right. Dumps it all over the place. There's a pool of it by the mummy. And then he gets his good old Zippo.
Lights it aflame, and I guess the mummies died, but it ended up in the water, didn't it? It was like it got burned the
Yeah.
first time, and it got back up.
I put Elvis beats the mummy by setting it ablaze, and the souls Hotep had eaten are released.
Were they?
Yeah, they're like, wee, wee,
I
wee.
missed that entirely,
Mhm.
and I watched it twice.
amazing. It wasn't well done. That's why I
Okay.
was like, released?
It released? Dot, dot, dot.
And unfortunately, Elvis gets mortally injured as well.
Mhm.
He has a bit of a broken, protruding rib.
Bone, I guess. He knows he's done for.
Yeah.
But he seems like he's at peace with it.
Yeah. You know,
And,
he
he
did
retained
the
his
thing.
soul. Right.
He lost his buddy JFK, so he really doesn't have anything
Yeah.
else to hang on
Kemosabe's
to.
gone.
Chemo's gone. Nurse is not going to give him another erection.
No.
That was a one and done.
Yeah.
And it was accidental at that.
Yeah.
So he says his farewell.
Doesn't he say like he's left the building?
I think so. He had pretty good singers. I wrote down, I think the mummy sends him a love letter in the stars that says all is well. And then Elvis mutters his final words.
Elvis has left the building.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
Oh. So yeah, that was
That was Bubba Ho-Tep.
that was yeah. So one thing, so there's a lot of Bruce Campbell in that bed and as Elvis.
Yeah, I did
Apparently
like that bit of him like slowly rolling it up with the button and be like,
Well, apparently because of the way the crew and everything was set up, he actually got trapped in there one day and actually had to use that bedpan because he
"Aw,
couldn't get out to
poor
pee.
Bruce."
And I
He
also
really got into character.
Seriously. I did not know he had written an autobiography. It's called "If Chins Could Kill: Confessions of a B-Movie Actor,"
I love
which
that.
I kind of want to read
I
now.
love that he's so good humored about it.
Right.
And it makes me want to support him even more. And even stuff like this that I wouldn't say is my favorite.
Right.
But I'll save that for our upcoming segment. Any more fun facts you got there?
Well, I will say that there has been a prequel in the works for a very long time. Who knows?
Of a young one? Of a young
Well,
him?
it's called Bubba Nosferatu: Curse of the She Vampires.
Ooh, that has potential.
Potential for this podcast. That's about
Big
it.
time.
But yeah, that's really it.
Well, then I think we've got to head over to real
Talk.
Well, like I said before, it's not my favorite.
Yeah,
I felt I wanted to like it more.
I did too. It was
Because
not as
it
fun
had-
as I wanted it to
It
be.
had a good premise. It had even good elements in it, but it just to me felt very meh.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the prosthetics. So the chin,
All the makeup,
it wasn't
was
great.
sloppy.
It was not great.
and I couldn't tell if that was a gag or if it was just poorly done because I feel like it was so obvious.
Yeah,
Like the nurse had good makeup.
Yeah.
Maybe she did her own. Maybe it was one of those things.
she's like, I got this. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
I see what you did over there. Don't touch me.
But yeah, rough on that side of it. Even the effects, limited as they were, there was some fun things, but just some of it dragged too long in
Mhm.
ways that it didn't need to. It wasn't as tight as I would like.
Right.
Overall, just okay. Like I don't think I ever need to see it again.
No, I wouldn't
and
recommend it.
honestly, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
I don't understand the high ratings on.
Shocked when you told me those fucking
Yeah.
ratings. Shocked and dismayed.
Yeah, dude. Like,
Maybe
Makes no
we just
sense.
not in on. We're not cool enough for this one.
I'm very cool.
OMG.
Uh,
We about to fight. We about to fight. I would never fight. So you have anything else, or would you like to give
No,
this guy,
that's pretty much. I think I've said what I wanted to say about it. This was to me a very lackluster movie. Like I said, it just wasn't what I was hoping for or what I wanted
Yeah.
it to be, and so I'm ready to just put it to bed and go on to the next one.
All right. Well, I'll start this one out.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with 1.5 reels.
I'm gonna go with 2.
2.
2, yeah.
Very generous.
Which
You
means
usually are the more generous of the two. I can't do
one-
that.
1.75.
1.75. I was so close to saying that.
Bet you were.
It was just starting to formulate in my brain. I could feel it. So, guys, swing and a miss.
Yeah.
I'd stay away from old Bubba.
Yeah.
Maybe check out that sequel, though, or prequel.
Yeah, if that ever
That
comes to
seems
fruition. Yeah.
interesting. So, my friend, it is time for
Sombrero picks. What will the sombrero produce?
It is my turn, my friend. I'm feeling good. Feeling strong. Alrighty, the next film is gonna be Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
I think that's going to be fun.
I think so,
I think
too.
we're going to have a good time with that.
I think we're gonna like that.
That's Mickey Rourke and
Who was that?
somebody
The guy
other-
from
somebody handsome.
yeah, with like the teal jackets from the 80s.
Oh, Don Johnson.
That's the one. You got there.
Crockett,
Awesome. So I gotta throw one in.
What are you going to throw in?
Little film from the 90s
Okay.
called Congo.
Ooh.
Yes.
Love
I think
it.
we'll like that.
I love it. I'm very
I
excited.
loved it back in the
love
day.
Congo. I hadn't seen it in a while.
But it's not a great movie. So I
No.
think we're really I know it's been so long.
so fun,
And
though.
I will love to watch it with you.
Yeah. That'll be a fun watch.
Yeah. Maybe
Not a
we'll make
quiet
some
one.
pina coladas.
Ooh. Maybe get caught in the rain after.
Those fake ass bananas. So bitter about those bananas not being real.
Yeah, fake bananas.
I've been
Yeah.
complaining to everyone that'll listen, and no one gives a shit. Anywho, you guys, thank you so much for stopping by. What a fun little episode.
I feel like this was a short one.
It felt short.
It felt short.
Well, there wasn't a
We don't
lot
say.
here.
Yeah, it's a lot of meat.
You've heard what you need to hear. Now wrap it up and go watch some Harley Davidson. Join us next week.
Yes.
In the meantime, love to hear from you. How can they do that?
They can do it on Facebook, or they can check us out on Instagram at Real Fun Times. They can do it on our website, realfuntimespod.com. You can email us, realfuntimespodcast@gmail.com.
All the ways.
All the ways.
Listen in all the ways that you listen to stuff. Like us, rate us, review us.
Please.
And as always, you've got to tell somebody. I've got an idea, but what are you thinking?
By the way, did you hear me tell that table behind you the other day about our podcast?
No.
So they were
you
listening.
did?
They were listening to you and your sister, and they were like, they're having a good time. We want to be at their table. I was like, well,
Oh, they
actually,
did.
I was like, actually, that's my podcast partner. And I was like, one of my best friends. And they were like, girl, you got a podcast? I was like, hell yeah, I got a podcast.
You're so good at telling people.
And then they immediately followed on Apple.
Get the fuck out. Snowy, you win all the prizes. Well, then this week, tell your local nursing home nurse.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was going
they
to say
need to
Elvis
be
fan.
entertained. Yes. You know what? Mix them together.
Yeah, tell both.
But tell both? Uh-oh,
Get crazy.
doubling up. you're
Trying to get those numbers
You're
up.
feeling those spooktastic juices
God, I
flowing.
am.
And guys, do we have a treat for you upcoming with a song and intro? That's all I'm going to say.
That's it.
That's
I'm
all
so
I'm going to
excited.
say. All right, we'll come back next time. Thank you so much for joining
Appreciate you
us.
guys.
And
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I tried to do my lip.
I
saw. Bruce Campbell would be so proud. Thank you for listening to Real Fun Times, your favorite movie podcast.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Real Fun Times. REELFUNTIMES. Real Fun Times is produced by Drea Age, Rose Age, and Noelle Phelps. The thoughts and opinions expressed herein are solely those of the individual hosts, nobody else's. No one's.
Real Fun Times is not affiliated with or connected to any of the motion pictures, music, or other clips played within this podcast. All movie clips and music included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders. They're included here for review purposes, and absolutely no infringement is intended.
And lastly, a tip of the hat and a sincere thank you to our friend, Autopsy Summer Camp for our rad outro music. To hear more of his offerings and collaborations, check him out on Instagram at Autopsy Summer Camp.
Eat the dog dick of Anubis. And now I know what Anubis is based on
Gods of Egypt. Motherfucking Gods of Egypt.
Ooh.
Ugh, yeah.
Might have to re-release that one in the future. It's pretty good.
Yeah, we hated that movie.
So bad.